injuries. It changed things all around and put
through the first weekend in April. There's Rick Howerton, a third-generation driver. He was the newcomer, or the rookie of the year last year. There's Jack Hewitt in 6th position. Greg Staub rounding out the top 10. But once again, we will transfer 6 cars from this event. The first 6 will transfer onto our 30-lap main event, and there is Chuck Gurney in from California.
Yes, and he's going to start 20th, Gary. That means that he has to pass 14 cars in 15 laps. Now, I'll tell you, that is a long, long ways. He's got to pass all those guys in front of him. Here we're looking at 1, 2, 3. That looks like a lot of cars to me just right now, let alone their speed trying to keep in front of him. That's a tough, tough job. He's in Johnny Capel's car. Johnny Capel's, of course, car president, a real racer. I mean, this guy loves sprint car racing. He loves every kind of racing. I'm glad to see guys like this involved in sprint car racing. And he's built this car himself. He has high hopes for it, but boy, I'll tell you what, the 20th spot is going to be a long, long way.
Well, of course, Chuck Gurney was a good choice to run this car this evening. A pavement shoe, very versatile. However, Mother Nature, no qualifying. But we take a look back to the front of the pack, starting outside Jim Keeker, number 26R, and that actually is a V6 Chevrolet.
That is the only V6 in the field. Glenn Nibel has worked very hard on this V6 over the last 4 or 5 years. It develops a lot of horsepower. I drove this car back in the mid-'80s. It was good, but it wasn't nearly as good as it is now. They claim they're getting 570 horsepower out of this V6, and that's a lot of horsepower, considering that they can weigh 200 pounds less than the rest of the cars. The other thing, Gary, I'd like to mention is that they don't have the tire rule in effect. Because there's no qualifying, because there's no heat race, there is no tire rule. Run what you brung, do the best you can.
Of course, that's a follow-up to the new tire rule that we tried to explain last week. And as the weeks continue, we'll explain that a little more here with this new USAC tire rule for the midgets and the sprint cars. There's a look at Richard Myrie on the outside in that black number 6. That's the car that may look familiar to you Jeff Gordon fans. That's the car that Jeff has raced in years past. But Richard Myrie in that car, he cut a deal with John Bickford, who owns that beast, and they're going to run this season.
That's right, and I'll tell you what, he's really put himself in kind of a hot seat because everybody knows how fast that race car is. Now they're going to see how fast he is, too.
They pick up the throttle off the corner. The green flag is out. And oh, what a good jump. Keeker got a great start.
He certainly did. He got on the throttle, and that V6 has plenty of horsepower in there right now. I'll tell you, he's pulling to an 8-10 car length. Lead over Joyce Aldana. Joyce Aldana.
Right below there. Coming off the corner. 3 or 4 cars involved. We saw Brad Armstrong up in the air in that green 99, but he continues on.
Hey, Chris, looks like Chuck Gurney's right in the middle of that thing. We couldn't see what happened.
Champlin in the yellow car. There's Chuck Gurney. There's Champlin in the yellow 8. Chuck Gurney is beyond that one car, and that looks like number 45. That would be Brent Whited in the other car. Brent is climbing out, a little slow to climb out, and Chuck Gurney is motioning from the cockpit, so apparently he's wanting a push truck or perhaps some assessment of the damage.
Yeah, when you don't get out of the race car, you have some kind of an idea of getting back in there. And I know Chuck, he flew all the way in here just for this race, so he certainly doesn't want it to end on the first corner of the first lap of the semi tonight.
Yeah, and the point that I was making earlier, had we qualified, I don't think Chuck would have been in this semi.
Well, that's obvious. I don't think he would have either. He's a great race car driver. This car he's driving is obviously a good race car. But when Mother Nature takes effect, I mean, there's nothing you can do. They had to choose a way to do it. They've used this method before in a lot of other races. We used it on the West Coast at Ventura, the same kind of a method. It's a fair method. It just didn't work out for him this time.
Let's see if we can diagnose exactly what happened, Larry.
Okay, we couldn't see what happened. Somebody got sideways up there. The green car went over it. The yellow car of Champlin got right up on him almost. If he had a little more speed, he'd have been right on over the fence. But he just didn't have quite enough speed. He got it whoa. He got on the brakes enough that when it got up on the fence, he was slow enough that it settled back down on the racetrack. Brent Whited, he was a victim of circumstances. And Gurney back there looked to me like you could see his wheels smoking way back down the racetrack. He was just trying to slow up and miss that thing.
Well, see, Gurney is still in the cockpit of that red number 21. There is the push truck, so perhaps we can check in with Marty Reed, and he can give us an update on exactly what transpired out there. But we are live from Indianapolis Raceway Park with the USAC Loctite Sprint Cars.
For the race, obviously, it didn't work.
Tim, you got swept up in it. What was it from your viewpoint?
Well, Brett got sideways, and a bunch of cars were trying to miss him, and I was coming from the back to try to get to the front, and I just got over his right rear and got into the wall.
Well, the best news is both guys are okay, but unfortunately they're going to be out of the rest of this race.
That was an observation, Larry, when we talked about the moisture earlier from the rain. We dried the track out. There may still be some moist spots out there.
Well, there may be some moist spots, but these guys have been out there. They've run some hot laps. They all know what it's like. They all tried to make the adjustments. Now the racetrack is different than it was real early in the afternoon. So those 2 or 3 hot laps they had just a while ago are going to have to be good enough for them to run fast.
Tighten the car up quickly. What's he talking about?
Tighten the car up. That means the back end is loose. The back end wants to swing around and spin out, which is exactly what he did. When you tighten the car up, you try to put more weight in it, less stagger in it, to keep that back end underneath the race car.
Complete restart. We're still working on our first of 2 feature events this evening. This is the 15-lap semi-feature, a drag race into the first corner. And down on the inside is Robbie Stanley, the yellow 7, but out in front.
Jimmy Keeger got a great start again. Once again, 8, 10, 12 car lengths out front of everybody and going away from him. Robbie Stanley got a very good start and dove down in under Joey Saldana, but couldn't make it stick. Those 2 cars running second, third, both J&J cars. The only 2 J&J cars I know of that are running up here on the pavement. The first 2 he's built, and they run very, very good.
A couple of kids from nearby Brownsburg running second and third right now. That yellow nose with the black tail. The 88 car is Joey Saldana, a second-generation driver. There's Robbie Stanley. And there he goes. The inside of going to 3.
There he goes, right down across the bottom, like you talked about with the midgets last week. Shorten that way around the racetrack. Cut him off in with his groove and take it over. That's exactly what he did right now.
Problem coming off turn 4. We have a car spinning coming off the corner, but I think it continues on. 73, car number 73, came all the way around, but continued on. That's not easy to do.
Okay, they did throw the yellow, Gary.
Bill Tyler had trouble. And look at this in the infield. This is under yellow. Brad Armstrong involved in another melee. Chet Phillip in the white car there to the right. Brad Armstrong, the green car on the left. And I'm not sure what happened down there. But as we see in stock car racing, you get a race car off the racetrack into the grass, they're going to slide a long way.
That's exactly right. That 99 car was involved in that first mishap over there. He ran up over a car. He could have very easily bit something, that race car, and I've been handling very well. He could have knocked the brakes out. We don't know. We didn't see what happened how he got in that predicament. But I wouldn't be a bit surprised if maybe he didn't knock the brakes out on the race car. When everybody else started slowing up, he didn't have any way of missing them and had it caused a crash, even though they were slowing down.
There's a good look at Chet Phillip. We've seen Chet in stock cars, in Indy cars a number of years ago, in modifieds. A very versatile driver up from Texas. 2 completed laps now, and we take a look at what happened. They got together over there in turn 2 and slid off the track through the infield together.
Yeah, it just looked like he got sideways and Chet Phillip nailed him. There wasn't, that's all the sooner we saw it, but he was already sideways in the racetrack. Chuck Phillip. Man, oh man, look at this. Right down through the grass. Looks like Talladega. Look at the water flying, mud, stuff flowing everywhere, man.
So those cars apparently will be out. And one by one, Chuck Gurney is moving up. Attrition.
Well, attrition is right. He needs all the help he can get from that far back. Man, look at this guy's going down through there throwing that water everywhere. We'd have had an in-car on that baby. We'd have had a wet camera, I'll guarantee
you.
It's
been a muddy lens. Well, there's a look at Johnny Cable's car, driven by Chuck Gurney. I think he's in 12th position right now, but he has to move up to 6th. Only 6 drivers will transfer to our 30-lap main event. Once again on a point system, accumulated points over last season and this year, since we did not qualify, did not run the heat races earlier.
That's right. He's come up from 20th to 12th. He's gained 8 positions, but he's done that fairly easily because the guy's been crashing, falling out. But the guys in front of him, it's going to be a little bit tougher for him these next 5 or 6 positions. Okay, here's one of the cars he's got to go around here.
Kevin Atkins in the 34 car. Parsons out there. No, yes, the 0 car. Johnny Parsons, because he was down on points. Car number 24.
That's Chip Thomas, Gary. He's got to get around Chip Thomas.
Dave Durnwald, another good pavement driver out of Ohio. And there's Roby, Bruce Roby, the 65 car.
I got to mention
Parsons in front of him in the 0 car. There's Frank Riddle. Frank Riddle, 62 years old. Are we going to be announcing races when you're 62 years old and you're out there driving?
Well, I hope I'm announcing races instead of being up there.
Brad Marvel in the 8 car. And there is Joey Saldana, a second-generation driver. You've raced against his dad. There's Robbie Stanley, the yellow 7. And there is your leader, who got an excellent start, Jim Keeker in that V6.
Yellow's a popular color for the front of this race, isn't it? All 3 of the cars in the first 3 positions, all yellow cars.
We've seen more yellow flags than anything else this evening. Well, we understand the top 3 are running on Hoosier tires, number 4 on Goodyears, and of course that's another selection. We talk about setting up a race car. The tire combination.
Everything makes a difference. You have to take your best shot, whether it's tires, chassis, engines, shocks. There's a million different things you have to take into consideration. You have to choose the best combination you think will work. And with these race cars, with all this horsepower, trying to get that horsepower to the ground, that's what you got to do. That's the hard part of racing these sprint cars.
Marty Reed, you have a comment for us from the pit area.
Well, guys, we were talking about the fact that the Goodyear guys are a little steamed because of the waiver of the tire rule. They only brought a certain number of tires, and they are the stiffer, firmer compounds. And the softer compounds are being able to be used in the sprint race by the
Frank Riddle got up into the wall. Oh, man, Joey Saldana hit the fence very hard. That was Frank Riddle. Joey Saldana was the one that hit. That's him sliding along there now. Front end dragging down there. We couldn't see what happened. I don't know whether he's still on the gas. Frank Riddle sitting here. He's obviously moving around. He's probably not hurt too bad. He didn't hit nearly as hard as Joey Saldana did. As they came down the straightaway, Frank Riddle got into the fence. Looked like he got it straightened up, but all of a sudden, everything went crazy, and everybody started going every which way.
He's up from Tampa, Florida, 62 years of age. He was the USAC Rookie of the Year about 4 or 5 years ago. Came up here, ran an entire season.
This guy ran a 500-lap race at Anderson, has done it many times. There's Joey. He's okay. That's good news. I tell you, as far as that race car went, and the way he hit that fence, I thought he might be hurt because he really nailed that fence hard. He's a young guy. His very first race on the pavement, I think, and it's tough for him. Brand new race car, too. Okay, here we see him coming out. Frank Riddle got squeezed up into the fence. There's a little moisture up there. That's where the rain has been running. He came back down off the fence and ran over Joey Saldana. Joey had nothing to do.
And Parsons had a great view of all that in that white Zero car.
Boy, oh boy. When he came off of that fence, he tried to keep it straight, but he couldn't keep it off of Joey Saldana. He went down, ran over Joey. Joey was just the victim of circumstances, turned him right straight into the fence, and bango.
The concern with Indy cars when they hit the wall head-on are the lower extremities. In a sprint car, there's not a lot of room and not a lot of padding for the knees. In an accident like that, the knees really take a shot.
Okay, I think JP actually hit Joey and turned him into the fence. I mean, it wasn't JP's fault, but when Frank Riddle went over him, Joey was still going pretty straight, but JP couldn't get woed and turn fast enough, hit Joey and turned him right straight into the fence. But you're right, Gary. The engine is up there, the radiator's up there, there's a solid front axle, there's a tubular frame. All these things are between your feet and the fence. It's no concern in this kind of a race car like it is in an Indy car.
Well, once again, we are under yellow because of an accident here in our 15-lap semi. We still have about 13 laps to go to determine who will go on to the feature. A lot more racing coming your way from Indianapolis Raceway Park.
Do you know what open-end mutual funds are?
The Wall Street Journal got
It was a 15-lap event. Keeger out in front, that one yellow car. Robbie Stanley is second in the yellow 7. Now, Stanley was victorious in a race that we witnessed in person at the Winchester Speedway the first Sunday of April.
That's right.
Look at Parsons in the Zero.
JP's running third. He's working real hard on it. Let me tell you, he's got that thing working pretty good. That Zero car is a brand new ride for him. I don't think he's ever run this car before, but he looks very, very comfortable in that race car right at this point of the race.
That's Jesse Plummer's car. It's an Atkins chassis that he made some revisions to. But yeah, first time out for this car, and JP has a nice ride going in third position right now. We transfer 6, so obviously JP knows that he has a transfer spot. Chuck Gurney now up to 9th position.
Yeah,
The attrition has helped him.
I tell you what, the attrition's helped him, and Chuck Gurney is such a good race car driver. He can pick through the traffic. The problem is he's got to do it very, very quickly. When you've only got 15 laps, you come back in 10th, 9th position now. He's got to do it very quickly. He's followed those guys for almost a lap and a half. He's going to have to find their weakness. There he goes. He's going to give him a shot down the inside. He's in under him. He's going to give him a shot. Can he get it? Yeah, you have to pull it around him. Now then he's going to slide up across the guy, take the position away, and go on after Chip Thomas, who's right in front of him, and Dave Durnwald.
Chip Thomas moves around Durnwald now. The Durnwald, the 19 car, the 21 car, the red 21 right there in the middle of your screen is Chuck Gurney off the second corner, slips just a bit, heads down the backstretch, and looks like he may have Durnwald on the inside.
He can't quite do it. He definitely has the confidence in the race car right now to give him that big shot, then run across the bottom and move right up in front of him. It looks like the race car's a little loose. You can see Durnwald's car too is loose. The back end shaking out. Every time he goes through that corner, the back end's a little loose. He comes out on him. It's very difficult to drive these race cars with all that horsepower. There he goes. He got a good shot down underneath him, coming off a 2. A great shot as he moved down underneath Durnwald going off number 2 corner.
Well, he's up to 7, so he has to close down a gap and move by one more car to make the feature event.
Well, I think he's doing a good job. I think he's got the race car figured out, and I think he's going to get that other spot. But look the race to the lead. Stanley has caught Keeker, and he's going to work on him. He's running lower than Keeker is on the racetrack. That's usually not the fastest place, but he knows he can't follow
in a V8, a lighter car, easier on the tires.
That's right. 410 cubic inches versus 305 cubic inches. There he goes. He's going to go down under. Usually, a 1,200-pound race car, which is the car in the lead with Keeker, versus a 1,400-pound race car, which is the number 7 car that Robbie Stanley is in, is usually the 7 or the leader. Keeker should have an advantage through the corners, but it doesn't seem to have right now.
Is it more difficult to stay on top of a sprint car at this racetrack or a midget?
Well, I think the sprint car is probably the toughest thing there is to drive. I'm
There's Gurney making it. Excuse me, Larry.
Okay, let's talk about that later. Look at Gurney. Let's talk about that later. Look at Gurney. He's going to, that's Brad Marble down there. Brad just lost one spot. He can't afford to lose another one. He's a dirt car driver primarily. He's trying to get his feet wet in the pavement race, but he wants to make this feature very badly, but he's going to hang on for dear life here because Gurney's right on his tail.
10 laps down, 5 laps to go. That is the battle right there for the 6th and final transfer position. The red, white, blue number 8. That is Brad Marble. And right behind him in 7th position in the red 21, the gold and green car, is Chuck Gurney.
Larry Fritz's car that he's driving, that thing just jags. They call it race car. He restores low Jaguars, but you better restore that thing because he just got past. Chuck Gurney.
That was textbook. That was textbook.
It certainly was. He went right down, right under him, just moved on. Now Gurney knows now that he's got 4 or 5 laps to go, he's going to try to gain a couple more spots because every spot he gains in this race, he gets to start that much further up the feature than have to start past the feature.
Back to the front of the pack, a pair of yellow cars, number 26R. That is Jimmy Keeker, and he's got some traffic out in front of him. Let's see if Stanley can use the back markers to his advantage. Stanley running second.
That's a terrible break for Keeker. They don't know he's up there. If they don't move over him, they move down a little bit. They move down, they're going to let him around. Through the rest. I tell you, Keeker was right up on the edge of that thing. He was very close to getting up there where it was really slick. But he made it around, and Stanley followed him right around. Now Stanley's moved to the top. Look at that. He's got a shot on him. He better make sure he sees him out there, though.
White flag, 1 lap to go. Robbie Stanley, a past all-star champion, has a lot more dirt experience than pavement experience, but he's hanging on right now and battling for the lead.
Keeper's car has gotten loose on him. The back end's swinging out on him. That's the reason he moved down to the racetrack. And there he is down there low again. He can't run down there and expect not to get past. Except there's a loud car. Let's see what happens. Oh, he did it.
Stanley got him.
He got him.
Robbie Stanley got him. He takes the victory. The man that leads the sprint car standings in USAC competition wins our 15-lap semi this evening. And it took a last corner pass for that victory.
Gary, he blew the engine of that thing. I don't think he even saw it. He was racing so hard, trying to miss that. He was trying to miss that lap car and trying to beat him around there. He didn't even see the checker flag. He went a whole extra lap.
That was his insurance lap.
I guess. Well, he made it. But he blew an engine in that car earlier tonight.
What is
during
this on the track here?
I don't know what that is.
Debris on the racetrack.
But he blew an engine in that car earlier in hot laps, went home, changed it. He only lives about 5 miles from here. Changed it, came back, and it's paid off. He's in the main, and I'm sure he's pretty happy with himself.
His brothers, the crew chief, and his dad, Ron, Rita, his mom, they're all involved in that operation. It's a family operation. They dedicate their life to building quarter midgets and running the sprint car operation.
That's right. It's a family deal. A lot of sprint cars and a lot of midgets are all very family-oriented. The people come out here to have fun as well as to make money in race cars.
Well, we're going to come back because we have 6 that will transfer on into our 30-lap main event. Robbie Stanley wins it over Jim Keeker. We'll transfer 6. We'll come back and line up the main event from Indianapolis Raceway Park. Please stay with us.
Once we got to it, was it good stuff or was it good stuff? And you got to admire the Hoosier fan. They will sit with you as long as there's a chance that there's going to be a race. And doggone if there wasn't. And you know what? Benny Parsons, the offer still stands. You've now had an opportunity to see these cars run, and I understand there's still one available for you for the main event. No. The answer doesn't change a bit. What do you think of this? This is fun, isn't it?
Well, it's fun. It's exciting, especially when you come slamming into turn 1 wall down there.
The turn 1's right down here below us. He's jumping up and down like a little kid on Christmas morning. A racer is always a racer. There's been a lot going on around the racing world here today, and I didn't hear a word he said to me right there. Let's take a look at the World of Outlaws. Steve Kinzer, last lap, last turn, slammed it in on the outside of Sammy Swindell. Everybody said there's no way it's going to stick. That was over at the fairgrounds. Kinzer hauled it right around the outside, won the race. It was spectacular, running the sprint cars on the mile here in Indianapolis. All kinds of racing around this place during the month of May. And in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, Chuck Bound pulled out the win today. Back to your kind of race.
They love automobile racing. Not that they don't in other parts of the country, but here in the spring, They really come out.
Anything that we might glean from the semi and move that over to the feature?
I think the fact that the race cars all look loose. The racetrack, the rain has washed a lot of the rubber off. They've done a lot of testing out here, although we haven't raced out here very much. A lot of testing. The rain has changed the racetrack. They all look loose. The back ends were swinging around on a lot of race cars out there.
Well, once again, Benny's driven race cars loose, so he'll have an opportunity if he'd like to.
No, thank you. No. Guys, quit trying to put me in these cars. I don't want to ride.
We're not fudging him. We're not getting him to fudge a bit. Penny Parsons, Dave Mustaine, Gary and Larry, Marty Reed in the pits. Main event up and coming at Saturday Night Thunder. We're having a ball. Hope you're enjoying it. We'll be right back. Saying right now, Sleepy Trip won that race out on the West Coast, finally broke that record, and I need to get in my congratulations to Sleepy on behalf of all of us at Saturday Night Thunder who didn't get to see it on national TV. He came close so many times while we were out there. Gene Lee and the rest of the field are forming up here for the main event. How about you want to get that grid in right now? Let's go back to Gary and Larry.
Well, the CarQuest Cage Cam will start outside the second row, but we'll take a look now at your starting lineup for our 30-lap main event. The front row, a four-time USAC Sprint Car champion, Steve Butler, inside 69, alongside Greg Staub in number 44. In the second row on the inside, Greg Wheeler. He'll be joined by Gene Lee Gibson. Row 3, prize to Rick Howerton, last year's Rookie of the Year, a former winner here, Jeff Bloom. In the fourth row on the inside, Eric Gordon. He's finished second in the division. He also won this race 1 year ago. Jim Mahoney alongside the 4U car. In the fifth row on the inside, Wayne Hammond back up here from Tampa, Florida, alongside Don Schilling, a car that he has built, the engine that powers that car he also built. Bruce Field in 85, a brand new sprint car for Bob Ciccone. He won the midget feature here a week ago. In row 7, inside Red Stauffer, outside Donnie Adams. In the eighth row, Robbie Stanley, the winner of the semi this evening. Second place in the semi, Jim Keeker. Then it's Johnny Parsons. He finished third in the semi. Bruce Roby alongside in 65. And the 10th and final row, Chip Thomas in 24. And there is Chuck Gurney. He came from a long way back, but he made the feature.
He sure did. He did it the hard way, but at least he's in there. Now he's still got a long way to go in this race now. It's a long ways from that last spot, from 20th spot to first. But he did it once, and he's got 15 more laps. He's got 30 laps this time to do it. We'll see what happens.
We look over the helmet of Gene Lee Gibson out of the neighboring state of Ohio. He will start from inside the second row. There's a good look as he pulls up behind Butler there in the white 69 car. We look back over the balance of the field. I love these on-board cameras.
This is going to be a good shot on the pavement where you can look out front. You can watch the driver's arms moving. You can look out the back. You can see what the guy behind him is trying to do. You can watch the race car work. From this shot, you can see the shocks moving on those race cars. You can see whether the tires are sticking in the front, whether they're sticking in the back. Look at both ways. Man, oh man, that screwed me up. I look both ways, I'll tell you that.
Oh, I hate those bifocals.
Man, oh man. I'll tell you what, you show everybody that shot for a while, we'll have them run to the bathroom pretty quick, I think.
Okay, that's enough of that shot, guys. Punch up something else back in the truck. I can't handle that. All right, there we take a look as they roll into turn 3, headed for turn 4. Steve Butler has done something nobody else has ever done in USAC Sprint Car competition. He won 3 straight. Then I think finished second, came back and won a championship only 4 times. Sprint car champ out of Kokomo, Indiana.
It's very tough to do. This is a very tough division. There are a lot of very good race car drivers. And when you win more than 1 championship in any division, it's very, very tough. But when you win 4, it's phenomenal.
I think there's a certain Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde persona in racing. Some of these guys like Steve Butler. There's Jim Keeker being pushed away, finished second in the semi. But Steve Butler has a very, very sedate personality. Very well spoken, very loquacious, but very low-key until you put him in a race car.
Man, it's just like he screws his brain off when he gets in that thing sometimes. Boy, when he first came up here, he really did some silly things. He got knocked right on his can a couple times by guys he got in fights with, you know, because he ran over him on a race car. He has settled down. He's become very smooth and a very, very good race car driver. But when you're young, you're a lot more aggressive than you are when you get a little older. I think he's matured as a race car driver, as a person, and it shows when he drives this race car.
We have maybe 2 more laps to go, and as we mentioned earlier, a couple of guys up from Florida. We saw the accident involving the old gentleman, Frank Riddle, but also Wayne Hammond up here. We have had a rain delay this evening. We've had rain throughout late afternoon, early evening hours here throughout central Indiana. It certainly caused a delay here, but once again, the crowd stayed with us, and they have enjoyed a very competitive semi. And I think they can look forward to a very, very competitive feature event.
It's going to be a great race here, because here we have Eric Gordon. He's starting back. Where's he starting? I can't even see. It's about 8th, 9th spot, 2, 4, 6, 7th spot.
7th spot.
So it didn't go according to qualifying. So you've got some cars that are not starting normally. Usually you have everybody that qualifies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They start in the first 6 positions. You're going to have cars that are faster than the cars starting in the first 3 rows behind them, and it's going to make it real exciting.
Eric won this race last year, 1 lap until we go green. Eric won this race, but he finished second in both the sprint car and the Silver Crown division. A very competitive driver. It's very difficult to run 2 divisions and run them both competitively enough to finish second in the point standings.
Well, it is, you know, Rich Wilker was very good at that. He finished up in the top in several divisions, 2 or 3 different times. He was a very good race car driver. Eric Gordon can do that. There's several of these guys can do it if they can get the good equipment. The key is you have to have a good race car in each division that you want to run. But this race is going to be exciting. You've got Don Schilling starting in the back. You've got Jim Mahoney and the Steve Staff sprint car starting in a little ways in the back. So it's going to be exciting.
Greg Staub, who was to start outside the front row, has elected for some reason to start at the back of the pack. So that would move Gene Lee Gibson with our camera up to the outside front row starting position. They get the green flag. We are racing 30 laps. The Loctite sprint car is underway here at Indianapolis Raceway Park.
Steve Butler beat him into the first corner. Gene Lee Gibson fell right in behind him. Didn't challenge him for that lead. It's going to be very difficult now. Butler's a fast race car driver around his racetrack. It's going to be a tough job for everybody to catch up with him now that he's right up front.
Well, but those two begin to pull away and put some distance back there. Jeff Bloom rides in 3rd position. Jeff Bloom was a late arrival this evening. His big motorhome brought that race car in. He didn't have much time for practice.
That's right. Jim Mahoney's running 4th. 3 of those first 4 guys are pavement specialists. They run nothing but the pavement most of the time. The exception is Steve Butler. He runs everything, every place, anytime. Those other 3 guys usually run only pavement. Gene Lee Gibson, very, very good pavement driver. As he's showing us right here in style, look at his hands moving back and forth. Watch how it is toward that thing. The less you move those hands, the better you are, the better the car's working. He gets the car in, he turns it straight up, he just keeps it a nice, smooth move. That race car's working great. No more than he's moving that right now. That race car's working very, very good for him.
We talk about second-generation drivers. His dad, of course, still active in competition, but this is a second-generation car owner. Johnny Vance, his dad was involved in racing, had Spider Webb for a driver for a number of years.
Johnny Vance has been around a long time. I think almost all of us guys have been around for 15, 20 years, have driven for John at one time or another. He's a tough guy to drive for because he wants to win. And if you don't win, you're out of there, pal.
Only one direction to go, and that's to the front. Bob Ciccone won in the Reader chassis last week with a Gertie engine. This is actually a brand new sprint car that Danny Trinan built.
That's right. It's a brand new car that Dan Ryder just built. There's a Schilling right in front of him with a special built pavement car. Both those cars were built only to run on the pavement. That car at Ryan's is really a different race car. It's got the shocks and springs all laid down horizontally in front of that car and working off of rocker arms. It's really an odd-looking thing. I think we call it Dryden's Dream. What do you think?
Well, there's Ciccone in the red car, but as we were talking about Bob and his suspension, Schilling goes to the inside and goes around Wayne Hammond, and there goes Ciccone.
Schilling is a very, very good pavement driver. Just like we talked about. Oh, he's smoking. Hammond's a smoker real bad. They're going to have to get him off the racetrack. If he oils down that racetrack real bad, it's really going to get slick out there. It's already slick enough. But if he keeps smoking like that, it looked like it was coming out of the breather of the car.
When you pull up behind a car and you see that smoke up here, it has to put your heart right up your throat.
Your heart starts jumping up and down like a Chevrolet pushrod. I'll tell you, if he blows that engine, you're going to run right into him and be in big trouble.
Terry. Well, Jim Kinger's out of this race. The car is overheated, and he has just climbed out. So a bad misfortune for the man who finished second in our heat race earlier.
That was the old V6 that we had in competition this evening, so a lot of those V8s out there competing right now.
That's right. It's too bad. They've done a lot of development work with that engine. It's been running very, very good. They've won the little 500, I think, 2 or 3 different times. But tonight just wasn't its night. We do have a couple of 310 cubic inch engines left in this race that also has allowed the weight advantage. Don Schilling has one of those.
I want to watch Butler out there in front. I may have seen some smoke off the right side going into turn 1. He may have been smoking a tire. It looked like there may have been just a slight puff of smoke.
Okay, here we have third, fourth, and fifth, Gary. This is Bloom, Mahoney, and who's running fifth against Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon. These guys, they've been going at a tooth and toenail here. Staff's car with Mahoney in it, he can't quite figure it out. They've worked on that race car day and night for the last 3 or 4 days, trying to get him, change it over from a bar car, a 4-bar car, to a coil spring car. It looks like they've got it figured out pretty good, but he's working on Bloom. Just doesn't seem to be able to get around him right now.
Well, Bloom, of course, is a pavement specialist.
Here we go. Right in front of us, Gary. Robbie
Stanley, the 7 car, and
Fields is the other car.
Fields in the 85 car, right along the main straightaway, right in front of us. We had completed 10 laps, maybe 11 laps. We'll go back and see. I think 10 laps for sure have been completed.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I tell you what, I think we probably got this on replay. We know our camera guys are the greatest camera guys in the world. They probably got that whole thing, so we'll see what happened exactly. Here we come right down there. Here we come down there. Off the corner. It's just 3 wide. It was 2 wide. There wasn't enough room for 3 cars to come off the corner. They all went for the same spot. Unfortunately, they all hit it at the same time. These 2 guys were losers. They ran into each other, locked up, went into the fence, bang, bang, bang. He did a bang-up job of staying by 1 race, but it just wasn't his day. Got caught in the wrong spot.
We credit D.O., Danny Laycock, our chief spotter. He said, watch those guys. They can't run off the corner like that together, and they got together.
They certainly did. I'll tell you what. They tried to come off 3 wide. As the bottom car slid up and the top car came down, they squeezed that center car right in the middle. There was no place. There just wasn't enough room for all 3 of them. And Stanley and Bruce Field were the losers.
Larry, this gives us a chance to say a big thank you to all the guys in the telecast, because we get all the attention because we're the ones that are visible, but all these guys behind the scenes know exactly what's going on. They make it work for us. We're going to come back and go back to racing. They have CarQuest along. I thought he was smoking. He was black flagged. He may have been oiling the track. Let's go down to the pit area. Marty, you're standing by with Bruce Field.
We're down here with Bruce Field. Bruce, first off, you are okay, but you can't do 3 wide out here sometimes.
Well, we're going to try, you know. We got to give him a show. That's what we were trying to do. It was just good, hard racing. Just an unfortunate incident, and I'm not blaming anybody or anything like that. It was just, we had the Weiland Racing Gertie engine car running real good, and it was our 2nd time out. We really wanted to do well, and I think we had it going pretty good.
Oh, we're glad you're okay. We got to go check on Steve Butler.
Okay, thanks a lot, Marty. Thanks for being here.
Well, Butler came in, did not stop to have the car checked, so apparently he was aware that something was amiss. He drove back to his pit.
Yeah, but they're pushing him back out here, Gary. They're going to try to get him restarted. Evidently, it wasn't as bad as they thought, or they fixed the problem, whatever. They're going to push him back out here and get him going again. It's going to be interesting to see if they let him back on the racetrack.
But the field was given the furled flag, indicating we'll go green the next time by. Let's see as they pick up the throttle. Gene Lee Gibson with our camera is leading. He brings them off the corner to go to work on lap number 12, 11 laps down of a 30-lap main event.
Oh, look at Butler. Look at Bloom. He had a notion to go down under him. He started to move down under him. When he did, the back end wiggled in that thing, and he had to catch it and slow up in order to keep him spinning out.
Jeff Bloom down from Michigan, a late arrival, didn't have a chance to get much practice, but he has won on this racetrack, and that happened last year.
Yes, he
pavement specialist.
That's right. He won the last race that we had here. He didn't seem as fast as Gene Lee Gibson before that yellow, but now that the yellow's come out, he seems real quick. He seems like he's going right after it. He may have some kind of adjustment in that car for the weight, and he may have changed it on that yellow and given him an advantage to catch up with him.
Well, Butler will not be restarted. Steve Butler, a 4-time USAC Sprint Car champ, will become a spectator here this evening as we look back to Mahoney riding in the 3rd spot in that black number 4. And right behind him in a black number 6 is Eric Gordon. That's the battle for 3rd.
Eric Gordon looks like he's hooked up real well. He's trying to find a way to get around Mahoney right now. He's going in high. He's looking for a spot up high. He can't find a spot up high. Then he pitches it down a little low. He didn't do it that time. He did it the last lap. Right behind him, I think, is Schilling. Schilling also is very quick. He's going to get up there and give these guys a tussle. Looks like black is the color all of a sudden.
Well, Schilling, of course, didn't have a chance to race the midget last week because he was involved in that one crash. Had to go in for some examination on the arm, but he is all right. Now we have the halfway mark being given. 15 laps down, 15 laps to go, and look at it. The first 5 right together on the racetrack.
I think Eric Gordon's going to give him a shot here in a minute. He seems to be working real well up high. When you can enter the corner real high, that's the best place to enter the corner and get a shot on. Here you see from Gene Lee's perspective. This is behind him. He can't see these guys. He doesn't know how close they are, but they're not too far back there. This camera angle makes it look like they're a little farther away than they really are.
complicated than being in the race because, as we mentioned before, as far as the driver is concerned, if you're running the groove and speed, the racetrack ends at the back of your seat.
Believe me, race car drivers are very confident individuals. Every one of them thinks that he's the best race car driver in the world, and he knows how to drive his race car, and he's not going to make a mistake. He has to be careful for the other guy. That's the one he's worried about. But right now, Bloom is not worried about anything except trying to catch Gene Lee Gibson, and he doesn't seem to be making much progress at this point.
In fact, Gene Lee opens up a bit of a gap as they roll into turn 3 on lap 18. Marty Reed, can you check in with Steve Butler? What's the problem on the 4-time champion?
Well, Gary, with a very disappointed Steve Butler, they black flagged you for oil. Where's it coming from? They black flagged you for oil. Where's it coming from?
We're not sure, but we were throwing a lot of oil. My hands were all slippery on the steering wheel, and there was oil on my face shield. But, I thought they might flag me, but I wasn't going to come in until they did. I was in the lead, and it was just racing, I guess. It's a real disappointment.
There's no driver that ever wants to climb out of a car, no matter how much oil.
It's kind of like a basketball player getting called for a foul. He says, "Who me?
Who me? I wasn't throwing any oil." Here's Gurney. He's in 10th place back here, Gary. He's worked his way clear from last up to 10th. That race car could be the fastest race car on a racetrack. He's got 4 more obstacles in front of him, 4 more race cars before he gets to that lead pack, though. So it's going to be tough for him to get around them and get up front in only 10 more laps.
Well, and also he's had to abuse that right rear tire to make that move from the back of the pack up to 10.
That's right. Every time you try to pass somebody, you have to run out of the groove. The guys that are running in front of you are always going to go run in the groove. That's the fastest place. To get around them, you've got to go someplace else. When you do that, you do abuse the tire. And if you blister a tire,
Problem coming off turn 2.
oh my,
That is Wayne Hammond, and who's the car back there in all the smoke?
I don't know. Wayne Hammond got up over the wheel, wasn't going real fast, so he did get upside down. But boy, they looked pretty bad there for a minute. It looked like he could get on over if he was just going a few miles an hour faster.
It is Don Schilling. So Don in 2 weeks tearing up first a midget last week and now the sprint car. And he points to the front end. He'll need a record for that. We had 21 laps now complete, 9 laps to go.
Well, I tell you what, Don Schilling did a duck and a drown the last 2 weeks. Everything he does seems to be wrong. Last week, this is Hammond. He was also involved in that. He's the blue car that we saw run over the left front wheel right there at the end of the crash and all that smoke. We didn't see exactly what started it, but we saw them. They were both together running into the fence. Okay, we might have a replay here. Okay, here we sit. They're already up against the fence. No, they're not. Here they are, down in the bottom. Schilling's trying to slow down.
Schilling looked like he spun coming off the second corner and slid up into him.
Yeah, I know Schilling was already going real slow, though, by the time that happened. So something must have happened on back farther into the corner.
We still have 9 laps to go. We are live from Indianapolis Raceway Park. We'll come back and try to finish this race.
I'll have to come back and do about me again.
Pretty fun to be back together with you again. Good to see you, my friend. I think we're going to take a quick look at the top 10 here. We are under yellow. Gene Lee Gibson is your leader after the black flag and disqualification for Steve Butler. Jeff Bloom there second, hoping to make a move. Jim Mahoney, Eric Gordon, and Wayne Hammond rounding out the top 5. Going to go down 10 real quick. Yeah, there's Ciccone, last week's winner in the midget. Adam, Parsons, Gurney, and Roby rounding out 10. We're going to try to show you that finish, but in case we don't get to say goodbye to you tonight, I'm Dave Despain with Benny Parsons alongside. It's been fun. We're going to take a quick break and come back and show you, I hope, the finish of this. This is the look from inside Gene Lee Gibson's car as he hopes he's going to win her live here on Saturday Night Thunder. We'll be right back at IRP.
Here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, a reminder that baseball tonight will follow the conclusion of this Loctite USAC Sprint Car feature. 9 laps to go. They have been given the frilled flag indicating we'll go green. Well, now the yellow is being brought back out, so perhaps somebody spotted some debris on the racetrack, Larry.
Well, it could be. It appeared that what happened over there in turn 2 was that Schilling lost an engine. Here they don't see the yellow flag. Everybody's on the throttle. Hope we don't have a big crash, another big crash, trying to slow this thing down. It appeared that he blew the engine. Hammond's got in the oil, spun down across the bottom of the racetrack, and then back into the back end of Schilling up on the top of the racetrack. So he got in Schilling's oil, spun out, and then ran into Schilling after he did it.
We look at Jeff Bloom. We understand they have Black Flag Bloom. They're going to bring him in to check him for a possible oil leak. He was riding in second position, so up front is not exactly the place to be this evening.
Yeah, he's been smoking too, Gary. He's been smoking just about as long as Steve Butler has, really. And I imagine he is throwing some kind of oil. They're going to throw the... It's too dangerous to leave somebody out there when they're throwing oil. Bring them in, at least check them. If they're not, put them back out there. But don't leave them out there to throw that oil all over the racetrack, because it just makes it a hazard for everybody out there. And they don't have to take those kind of chances.
Well, let's see now as he motions from the cockpit. There is the black flag. He motions back to the black flag.
That was a, I don't think it's me, sir, motion.
You know, you cover all bases, Larry. You're up here with us on Saturdays as the commentator. You still drive the race car, and on Fridays at the Indianapolis Speedrome, you're a big-time official out there, so you know what it's like to black flag somebody and have them motion back to you.
And you know what? I got a couple of those motions last night, but they weren't quite as nice as that one he just gave them.
Wait till I give you some motions if you were black flag me. As we look back now at number 4, there is a good look at Mahoney down the backstretch.
Jim Mahoney's a really good race car driver. He's had some terrible luck the last couple years. Hasn't been able to get a ride in anything that'll hang together. He's run good, but it just seemed like something little thing was always going wrong with it. He thinks this is his best shot to do well in this staff sprint car this summer, and he's going to give her a good shot.
Well, now there's a look at Bloom, and they're saying, you're out of here, buddy.
Well, if there's oil dripping off the race car, it's a very easy test. You look down there, if there's oil dripping onto the racetrack, off the race car, it's got to be doing the same thing while it's on the racetrack. If the officials see it, they have no choice. They cannot let him go back out there with the oil dripping on the racetrack. Obviously, they looked at it, they've seen some oil, and they just decided that it's not safe for him to go back on the racetrack. Although I'm sure Jeff's going to argue with him.
Well, of course, if Jeff were following you and you were oiling, he'd be pointing the rear of your car to get you off the racetrack.
That's the only hand motions you got, boys. You got to use whatever you got in there. You can't talk to them on the radios. These things don't have radios.
Well, some of them have. Now, Larry, you mentioned Larry Fritz, the owner of that red, white, blue number 8. They've used radios in the past.
This ought to be an exciting start. I think Mahoney and Eric Gordon are going to give these guys a big try right here off the bat. They're not going to let Gibson try to get out in front of them.
9 laps to go on the restart. Gene Lee out in front right now. That red number 1 as we look back at Mahoney and the black number 4.
Mahoney's going to pull down inside of him, trying to give him a shot. No, he can't do it. Pulls up behind him again, going into 3. He's trying to find a spot, but right now it looks like Gene Lee's got it pretty well covered.
A good battle for second place, though, between Mahoney and Eric Gordon.
Okay, here he goes again. He's going to try that level groove. He tries a different spot just to see if he can gain a little bit. Here comes Eric, got him 2, down underneath him, but he can't make it stick. It's a shorter distance when you take that shot across the bottom, but you've got to have more speed and feed him to the spot on the racetrack groove.
Back there in 4th position, Wayne Hammond. 5th now is Bob Ciccone.
Yeah, it looks like
Donnie Adams.
the real battle here is going to be between Eric and Jim Mahoney. Eric Gordon, I think, is running faster. He's trying him inside, he's trying him outside, he's going everywhere, but Mahoney's driving that race car just fast enough and right smack in a groove that Eric can't do anything about it.
A good view back in that battle for second position. They come down and complete lap 24. 24 laps complete and 6 laps to go.
I'd say that new deal he's tried on that 4 car with the coil springs is working pretty good right now. That race car seems to be handling very well. Gordon again, he's trying everything. In high, out low, in high, out high. He just can't seem to make it stick. He can't, uh-oh, he's got another crash.
That's Bob Ciccone up against the wall outside turn 3. They had a couple of cars get together there. There was a good battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th, and Ciccone got the new Dryden car up against the wall. So the yellow comes out. We have completed 24 laps, still 6 laps to go.
Yeah, it's too bad. Bob had a real good run going. He's running that race car. It's a brand new race car, never been raced, and he's really doing a good job with it. Here we see him getting in the corner. Somebody runs in under.
That's like Donnie Adams on the inside.
Okay, he runs up, he loses the front end. The front end washed out on him, hit the left rear of Bob Ciccone and put him in the fence. Nothing he could do. Donnie Adams didn't do that on purpose, but he got in there real hard, and when he tried to turn the race car, the front end just washed out on him. The back end kind of slid out, then the front end popped out from under him, and he hit Ciccone's left rear. It's too bad. That's a brand new Danny Dryden car. It was working pretty doggone good, too. I think Bob was happy with it, although not happy with the results tonight.
Well, it can't be too badly damaged as they're going to push that car away, and we'll see if Bob returns to the competition or returns to the pit area as Gene Lee Gibson continues to lead with 6 laps to go at Raceway Park. Front in that red number 1 of Johnny Vance.
Once again, it's Mahoney, J.P. Blue Motor going into 1 on that restart. He pulled right to the bottom. I don't think they'll go yellow. Johnny Parsons blew the engine, pulled to the bottom. I don't think they'll go yellow because he got out of the way, out of the groove, so he's going to pull in on the backstretch. Look at Eric Gordon. Man, he's working that race car inside, outside. He's doing everything he can possibly do without running into Jim Mahoney, and he is really working hard. He's got a faster race car. He just can't find a place on a racetrack where he can gain enough advantage to get in front of Mahoney right now.
Driving an Oz car, which of course a car designed, built by a former race driver. Running in third position, the driver who won this event 1 year ago. And he looks to the inside again coming off too.
Right. He really can turn that corner dime. He was right in the middle of the corner. He turned that thing sharp left, but he killed his momentum enough that he couldn't get around him. Here's a good shot right here. Nope, can't do it. He just can't quite get up far enough. You've got to get those front wheels, even with the cockpit of the guy in front of you, so that he can see you, or he's going to drive you into the fence coming off the corner.
3 laps to go. Now about 2.5 laps to go. The battle continues to rage for second position. Mahoney hangs on in second in the black number 4. The black number 6 of Eric Gordon rides in second. But in that battling back and forth, they've allowed Gene Lee Gibson to get out to a substantial lead at this point with 2 laps to go.
I think the best Mahoney can hope for right now is to finish second. He should be very happy with a second place finish if he can do it, because that's the best he's done for quite a while in a sprint car race. But Eric Gordon's not going to let him do it easy. He's going to give him a shot. I look for him to come in here, run up on the outside of him, diamond down off coming off the 4. No, he doesn't do it. He goes on the high side again and still can't get the pass.
There's the white flag. 1 lap to go. The battle continues for second. Your winner will likely be, unless he has some mechanical problem, Gene Lee Gibson, the driver, and the car owner, Johnny Vance, both out of the state of Ohio. They've teamed up here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, and they're going to carry you to victory lane with the Camry in that car. There's the big wave for Gene Lee Gibson, and Mahoney hangs on for second. Third is Eric Gordon.
Jim Mahoney did a very good job holding him off. His race car wasn't quite as fast. Gene Lee Gibson was gone. He had him covered after for the last 6 or 7 laps. They weren't going to catch him. Mahoney had to worry about hanging on to second place. Eric Gordon was obviously faster, but Mahoney ran the racetrack perfectly and got second place.
Gene Lee, our congratulations. Dave Despain, we finally got the feature in on a rainy night in central Indiana.
Hey, we're 2 for 2 with getting our features in here despite the rain, and we're happy you stuck with us. Gene Lee Gibson wins it over a great battle. Mahoney and Gordon for second and third. We'll run you on down through the rest of the top 10 while we remind you that next week we're going to Winchester, going to stay right here in Indiana and bring you all of the action throughout the month of May on Saturday Night Thunder. We'll get a quick look at Gene Lee Gibson as we say so long for Gary Lee, Larry Rice, Benny Parsons, and Marty Reed. I'm Dave Despain. Good night for Saturday Night Thunder.